Who's that coming down the track? It's a he that she in red and black. Ain't nothing finer in the land. Them good obnoxious Georgia fans.
What's up, y'all? This is John, Mike, and Caleb back for another episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. As always, on Sundays live on Millions and as a part of the Fans First Sports Network. Don't know what we're talking about tonight. We don't really need to get into it quite yet, and we're going to do the Georgia part of this at the end. And that's because we want to enjoy talking about the other games before we all get irrationally angry. Rationally angry. I'll actually say that.
Yeah, rationally.
But before we get into that, how y'all been? What are you drinking?
I'll go. Okay. Anyway, sorry. No, I've been good. Just hanging around the house today, recovering from the watch party on Saturday. The good news about getting totally obliterated is I don't remember, all the details of the game, and then I didn't watch any of the LSU or Bama game because I went to bed.
Seems like a lot of people are getting totally obliterated.
But what about you, Caleb?
I am actually filled with optimism right now. Not for Georgia football, but for something else that we will get into later in the podcast. But no, I've been good. It's amazing. This week, I decided to start doing some things that my doctor has been telling me for years to do, and I just haven't listened because what does that guy know? And
nerd.
Right. But as it turns out, I'm a lot more focused and optimistic and thinking through things a lot clearer, not living in my head as much, just in general. So maybe that guy was right for once. I don't know.
Is your doctor telling you to do cocaine?
I can neither confirm nor deny. That is what I'm being told.
Doctor. Let's go.
I would say I can't afford that. That would be cool.
Yeah, Dr. Lohan.
Well, if your insurance pays for it,
Yeah. Hey.
I mean, they're paying for meth for my kids to help them concentrate better. So, who knows?
Hey.
Big facts. Yeah, no, I went to the Ghost Pirates game today. If you're new to the show, Savannah Ghost Pirates, ECHL team in Savannah. We have half-season tickets. We go to a ton of games. They were 1-1 against the Idaho Steelheads for Military Appreciation Weekend going into today. And the refs, first off, ECHL refs, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure the ECHL just goes to like skating rinks and sees the dads that aren't falling down with their kids and puts a shirt on them, because Idaho got credit for 2 goals. One never actually went into the net. And the other was they kicked the puck in, which, if you're not familiar with the rules of hockey,
Can't do that.
Yeah, that doesn't count.
It's supposed to be stick.
Yeah, so in all reality, it should have been 2-2 and gone to overtime, but because the refs are idiots, it was 4-2. Ghost Pirates lost, and I was hoping that would make me not as pissed off before we record.
Just made it worse.
Yeah, I'm not happy right now. I did tell the ref at one point to meet me outside, and I'll teach him the rules. So, and Mike knows where our seats are. That's the ref heard me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so y'all ready to get into some football?
Do we have
other
to?
Games. Other games.
Other games. Great. Yeah. Good. Cool. Good with that.
And we're talking about little brother and ironically our nephew now, because LOL at Miami 2 years in a row.
Does that make Florida our grandchild?
I would venture to say yes.
Sweet. All right.
I don't know how this family tree works.
Great nephew. They're great nephews.
Oh,
okay. Makes sense. It's hard to tell. It's like an Alabama tree.
It is.
But it does have branches.
But Georgia Tech being little brother and Miami's daddy makes that Miami our nephew. honestly, if you haven't paid much attention to Tech other than like the box score or their record this year, you've seen they struggled for a number of weeks there. But this is the first time they've been healthy in a hot minute. They had some injuries on the defensive line. Haynes King was out. One of their running backs was out. And my favorite Georgia Tech player, arguably ever, is Tyler Efford. First off, his name sounds like the word F word. Love that. And he's a middle linebacker with a neck roll. And
Yeah, he's
that
like
just
aesthetic, yeah.
elite
Love that.
combination.
Love it.
And he finally came back in this game, had a few sacks, one forced fumble. But at the end of this, a healthy Georgia Tech makes them a threat the rest of the year, and especially in that Black Friday game.
Don't talk. No, we're not talking about Georgia right now. Why would you do that? That's
We're getting to it. That's it. That's the last sentence on that. But Miami finally got exposed. A team with a decent front seven and a tough offense with multiple threats can take them down. Which I don't know if you've watched any SMU this year, but that oof, it's possible Miami doesn't even make the playoff after starting that hot.
yeah, that's a tough one.
I did have a couple notes. Oh no, you're still going. Sorry.
Yeah, I got one last thing.
Sorry.
The worst part of this for Miami fans is that more of them showed up to the game in Atlanta than they do home games. And Cam Ward had a good game until the fourth quarter, which is normally the opposite of what happens. He had 389 passing yards and 3 touchdowns, but -5 rushing yards when you count the sacks, and a game-sealing fumble deep in their own territory, and that's just...
Can't imagine what that's like.
No, of course not.
Yeah, that guy sucks. So I did have a couple notes. So Tech did kneel the ball out to end the game. So that's a wild concept in this rivalry. So shout out them. Pretty cool for them. And nothing to do with the game itself, but they did rush the field, which again,
Can't imagine.
Not a great feeling. I could imagine.
Miami, who would have the field rushed on them?
Yeah, come
Yeah.
on.
Losers.
Yeah. Especially those nerds. But so they did the whole tearing down the field goal post, and they took it to the Georgia Tech University president's pool and threw it in there.
Yeah.
Incredible. I love that. I
saw part of the video, but I never figured out where they took it. Honestly, I was thinking they carried it a few miles to the Chattahoochee River, and I was like, actually, that's probably the cleanest thing that's gone in that river all day.
Was there a hoochie coochie involved?
I don't know. I mean, it was Miami.
It's Georgia Tech. There's not very many hoochie coochies there anyway.
Yeah,
but with Miami fans, there's probably some hoochie coochies. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, but it turns out all you got to do to beat Miami is just have decent time of possession, move the ball decently.
Yeah, they had a 10-minute possession.
The longest drive time-wise that Georgia Tech had ever had.
Really?
Yeah,
that's wild.
That's wild considering they did triple option for all those years. But
right.
I mean, that's what you got to do. This Miami team, it's one of those. They're not very good offensively. I mean, we've been saying all year they're not very good, but they can strike and get hot at any time. So just don't let them have the ball, and that solves part of that problem.
Yeah. So we're going to move into my bandwagon team. Finally, a reason to talk about them again. West Virginia at Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's officially out of the Big 12 race. And
there we go.
West Virginia is better with Mark Yole at quarterback than Garrett Green. Makes me very sad to say that. But at the same time, doing some That's So Raven psychic shit over here. I won the Heisman with Mark Yole in my dynasty.
Let's go.
As a lefty, which is just really weird to see. I don't care how many left-handed quarterbacks there are. It's still weird. And West Virginia is now one game from bowl eligibility and potentially keeping Neil Brown instead of hiring Jimbo, which is what everyone thinks was going to happen. But Neil Brown, apparently his seat never got hot or never got cool from when he was allegedly going to be fired last season and then went 8-4. And in this season, they are now 5-4 with a few winnable games coming up to get to bowl eligibility. I just really hope that West Virginia does anything other than hire Jimbo, because seeing Jimbo run a Mountaineers offense when normally they are fun to watch offensively would just make me sad.
Yeah, it would
we
be
don't need to be doing that.
a huge mistake if they were to do that.
Everything I've heard from everybody is that if the West Virginia job becomes available, that's one of the few Jimbo would be willing to take right now.
Why?
He's from there.
I know he's from there, but yeah, I know. But I mean, why would they want him?
How much money would they realistically have to pay him? It would,
He
on one
doesn't
hand,
need
like
money. He could coach.
yeah,
for
he's
free
getting
and
paid by
still be
Texas
rich as
A&M.
shit.
That's true. He's being paid right now a lot of money, but I don't know. I feel like you'll get Jimbo for maybe 5 or 6 years and not accomplish anything, or you can try to actually get somebody who will win you the big one.
Which I don't know how you're going to be able to do that at West Virginia. I'm sure Rich Rodriguez would love to go back, but since those kind of reunions aren't necessarily off the table anymore with Arkansas going with what's his face at offensive court, Bobby Robert there, yeah. So
neck brace and all.
Hey, there's a lot of turns and mountains in West Virginia. Are we sure Bobby Petrino? No, Bobby Petrino should not go there.
No, he should not.
All right, South Carolina at Vanderbilt. Sad day for everyone not a South Carolina fan, because we're gonna pour one out metaphorically, because I don't have anything that I'm willing to pour out right now.
In the arms of an angel.
And that's because
that's all you get.
Vandy's SEC championship game hopes are gone. They were mathematically still alive going into the game on Saturday. And turns out South Carolina is a damn good team when healthy. And that offense, I think, is going to attract better skill talent in the portal this offseason. And with the defense still being relatively young, not happy about that. But it'll be at least 2026 before Georgia plays South Carolina, thankfully. But I think South Carolina is going to be a legitimate threat next year.
Yeah, I was about to say it'll be at least 2026 unless they break into the SEC championship game next year, which is a legitimate possibility.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
With their schedule. And they get a Bama at home next year that will no longer have Jalen Milroe.
There we go.
I mean, anything is possible.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if y'all saw this, but Diego Pavia is suing the NCAA for more eligibility. He doesn't want his 2 years at JUCO to count against him. Previous eligibility lawsuits kind of gone 50-50. So Diego has a shot to at least play another year, but I mean, as of right now, this is it. But he should find out in the next couple of weeks whether or not the case will even be heard in front of a judge. So
my favorite thing about that story is that his lawyer put a restraining order on the NCAA for this lawsuit.
Don't get close to my boy.
Love it.
Yeah.
The NCAA has basically no legitimate power left at this point, right? They cannot do a single thing.
No. I mean, the funniest thing to me about the playoff happening was that all of college football decided, hey, the NCAA is stupid. So we're going to do this playoff thing, and they can declare whoever they want as the national champion. And every year they get the playoff trophy, and then when the school does their event and parade and all that, the NCAA shows up with the crystal football, and they're like, yeah, you're the NCAA national champion. And I just want one day for the NCAA to be real spiteful and give the crystal football to someone else.
Because
do it.
Like last season, they show up at the Orange Bowl and just hand it to Kirby Smart.
Or they should have given it to Florida State before.
Oh yeah, they were undefeated, undefeated and unconquered, from what I understand.
All right. Bama, LSU, and this is just another case of a single threat offense will kill your chance at beating talented teams, because LSU was only able to pass the ball last night, and when the defensive line knows they can pin their ears back, not have to worry about the quarterback running quite a bit, and just cause chaos, you're going to get the shit kicked out of you.
Boy, did those Tigers.
Yeah.
Where's that he realized he's not built for this meme?
Yeah, and we do have an LSU calling the dogs voicemail that we're going to be playing before we get to the Georgia game. Um, and it's funny.
Good.
I did have a couple notes before you get to that. Glad the game sucked because I went to bed right after the Georgia game, like I mentioned at the top of this, so I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
Pat McAfee getting the LSU crowd at game day to, yell "suck the tiger dick, bitch" like multiple times.
Excellent.
Cinema.
And they
Chef's
didn't even
kiss.
try to bleep it out.
No.
Yeah.
They've just accepted the McAfee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good for that matter. Let the band play neck. And then again, if you're watching on YouTube or on Millions, my background is Ben Herb Street, RIP King. The game day video went, just as expected, kind of tear jerking, but Kirk crying afterward, I think broke everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, it's a shame that they did that." And I was like, "Well, Kirk Herbstreit tells ESPN what to do. If he didn't want to talk about it, it wouldn't have been mentioned." And
exactly.
It's done nothing but help his credibility and public, like opinion on him. It's having this dog because otherwise, fuck Kirk, but his dog is awesome.
Yes, one of the goodest of boys.
Yes.
Damn good dog. Some would say.
Dog.
Yeah.
But no,
go ahead.
It was very depressing.
It was.
Yeah. One more note about the actual game. I knew this game was going to go the way it did from the first drive.
Yep.
Like Jalen Milroe got out, ran 40 yards or whatever it was, right to the end zone with nobody coming within 10 yards of him at any time. And I just looked at it and I was like, LSU is going to get walked on.
Yeah, and they had one 50-yard play get called back for a penalty. And with how easy it was, I looked over and told Kelsey, I was like, yeah, this is going to get ugly. LSU's in for a hell of a night, and not in a good way.
Well, that's what they get for doing a night game.
I am going to keep track of the night game stats for the rest of the year. Kaleb, I didn't send it to you, but yesterday, trying to distract myself early in the day from the Georgia game, I did research on probably half of the normal SEC and how many night games they've had since 2022. And the numbers are staggering.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that'll be a great off-season episode for us to just rant and bitch.
Good to know. Good to know. But yeah, I mean, for Alabama to come into Death Valley at night and just pull LSU's pants down in front of God and everybody was pretty impressive, to say the least.
It makes Brian Kelly 13-1 in night games.
Yeah, that's true.
Since 2022.
Which tells me a lot about where your research has gone. But maybe it's time to move on to another game where somebody got their pants pulled down in front of God and everybody.
We're gonna go ahead and do calling the dogs. We have one from before the Georgia game, one from after the Georgia game, and one from our resident LSU fan before their game. So here's this week's calling the dogs.
Hi, y'all. It's Caleb. A few minutes before kickoff, and I wanted to let you know if Carson Beck throws 3 interceptions again in this game, I will do the podcast dressed in my daughter's Elsa costume. Hopefully that doesn't happen.
So we're gonna fuck it up.
Oh, man, I've been telling y'all for 2 years. 2 years. Y'all know who it is. It's Grayson motherfucking Will. They're eating the cat. They're eating the dog. The fans are on the field at Oxford. We did that shit, and this team's going to pay up. If we can beat Florida and Mississippi State, but goddamn it, we beat the fucking Bulldogs. Let's go, Rebels!
May I first start off and say that dogs aren't hell. As an LSU fan, I'm over right now, locked in. Final score prediction, I'm going to go 35-27 Tigers. Jalen Milroe throws 2 picks. Nesters of 40 passes. Feeling good. Probably going to call later and regret this, but good Tigers.
So, just for y'all's information, Chris, our LSU fan, he was approximately a total of, let me do the math here, 44 total points off of his score prediction. And Grayson called in like we peer pressured him into doing. Kind of regret that. And
Yeah,
then
I'll back to that for sure.
as you guys can see if you're watching on YouTube, Caleb
I'm
did
not wearing an
have to
Elsa
follow
costume.
through with his bet.
I almost wish I did, because apparently when Carson Beck throws 3 interceptions, he plays better.
Well, it means they're normally throwing the ball downfield when he throws
Yeah.
interceptions, which, start of the game, we were all like, hey, Carson can't throw an interception if he doesn't throw. And then we were like, hey, Bobo, that was a joke.
Yeah,
Pick up.
don't
Why are
keep
you listening to-
going.
Why are you listening to guys on the internet, Mike?
Oh, yeah, that, not pleasant.
Yeah.
I am just going to go ahead and tell y'all, we're going to focus on one particular position group, but ain't nobody getting awards
No.
after that game. I think we have only done that once before. And, nobody deserves an award after that.
Everybody deserves to be wiped off the face of the Georgia football program. I won't go as far as to say Earth, but
I don't know if everybody, but
a lot of them. I think I
some of
told
those
somebody the other
guys-
day, 18 out of 22 starters, maybe 15 out of 22 starters.
Yeah, it's probably a solid.
Yeah.
We all know the score of that game. It was pretty awful.
And it felt worse than the score said too. It felt 48-10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the worst the Dogs have played since that loss against Florida in 2020.
And it's funny you should bring that up, Mike, because what did we do after the loss to Florida in 2020, the next game?
Switch quarterbacks.
Yep,
Yeah.
with JT.
Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, a different situation this season. And I've got a lot of takes on the quarterback situation we're going to get to. But this is the worst performance we've seen from a Georgia secondary in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And by that I mean Rose Bowl, maybe? Like if guys just
first half of the Rose
wide
Bowl.
open,
Yeah.
like, and this is the worst performance from a Georgia offense we've seen since. I don't know. I will say
I don't think we only put up 10 points in a game even with Coley, except maybe that LSU game. I don't even remember the score of that one.
Nope. I want to say they got 24 in that one.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah. Speaking of that game, this is the most hopeless I felt while watching a game since that game.
Yeah.
Because when you can't move the ball and you can't stop them from moving the ball,
what can you do?
This was all right. This game was like Georgia playing World War I trench warfare, and Ole Miss had drone technology.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, oh, you guys are still in the same spot? Bad call. And there was nothing we could do about it.
Yeah, nothing.
It was pretty hopeless, yeah.
Speaking of 2019, this offense has slowly degraded to a somehow less explosive version of that 2019 offense, because at least in 2019 there were reliable wide receivers and explosive running backs. I think Georgia had more drops in that game on Saturday than they had all of 2019, and that was with true freshman George Pickens playing.
And I'm going to say probably with a couple to spare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the offense is worse this year than 2019, just with a higher floor of talent.
Mm-hmm.
Because at a certain point, guys are going to make plays when you have this much talent on the offensive side of the ball. But at the same time, nothing is consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing. and I mean nothing, between the only thing consistent about the play calling on Saturday night is it was fucking terrible. The only thing consistent about the quarterback play is he was sitting in the pocket until somebody had 10 yards of separation. The only thing consistent about the run game was getting little to no yards. The only thing consistent about the wide receivers, they were going to drop some damn passes.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm fully on board with benching Carson Beck. I know a lot of people are going to be upset about that, but continuity
People
be
are
damned.
making excuses all over for him, but
Continuity be damned. As far as I'm concerned, Gunnar Stockton is at least a single threat quarterback, even if that single threat is his legs. Right? And would Gunnar Stockton have been worse than 186 passing yards and 1 interception?
probably not.
Would he have been worse than negative 20 rushing yards?
Definitely not.
What's Einstein's definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Mhm.
And if this team plays anything close to a game like this again, go ahead and punt to next season. Because as much as I do like the expanded 12-team playoff, if Georgia ain't making the playoff, guys are hitting the portal before the bowl game,
Mm-hmm.
and there's not a single NFL-eligible senior or junior that actually is looking like they can go to the NFL as playing in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The only team left that I think you could play like this and beat would be UMass.
And that's beat, maybe.
Right. It's not blowout.
Yeah.
It's beat. Because if they play like this against Tennessee, I'm gonna regret going to that game.
Mm-hmm.
They play like this against Georgia Tech. Hey, 2016. It's been a while.
Yeah. I was there in 2016, by the way, and I don't need that again.
No.
Mhm.
In this game, our offensive line against their defensive line looked like a high school offensive line going against NFL defense.
Mm-hmm.
They tried, 4 different combinations of offensive line?
Yeah, and 3 dudes were getting in the backfield every play, regardless.
Every play. Every single play. And when it came to the offensive play calling, we saw 2014, Bobo. I think Kaleb has a different take on this game when it comes to play calling.
Slightly. Hang on. Slightly.
This was the least creative game plan we have seen in quite some time. It was the most predictable game plan we have seen in quite some time. And it was the least productive game plan we have seen in quite some time. And I do want to emphasize one thing real quick. And it is the Georgia coaching staff. And just a couple of names of guys that I think should be very afraid for their jobs come the end of this season. One, it's a name we've heard before that left Georgia after their one season. James Coley, he's a wide receivers coach.
Get him out.
Bye.
Right.
Bad juju.
If
Most
wide
drops in the
receivers-
FBS under his watch.
Right. If wide receivers can't catch footballs, falls on the coach. Gone.
Mm-hmm.
Travaris Robinson. I know he was a big get from Alabama. He's a safeties coach. Safeties are the one group that I feel like have played well this season. But as a co-defensive coordinator and safeties coach, bye.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Dante Williams, the guy that we got from USC, and we were very, very skeptical of his hire, with the exception of his recruiting prowess.
Mm-hmm. Gone.
Corners coach.
There's some people that I know within the program that are very, very, very unimpressed with Dante. Like,
Is it everybody? Because how could you not be?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Honestly,
I know one. I'm talking about the one person that I know that has intimate knowledge of stuff. Yeah, he left very unimpressed, and everybody that he knows is not very impressed. So I would, of anybody, he's probably the most likely to go.
And I'm just going to say it. I know last season we were defenders. This season we have been respecters. with this level of offense, you cannot, under any circumstance, run it back with Mike Bobo next year. You just can't do it. As a quarterback's coach, Carson has regressed to the point that I think we would rather have Ryan Puglisi out there because he has an excuse to be this bad as a true freshman.
Right. That is kind of where I was going with it. I have pretty much jumped on the Fire Bobo train finally. I was a big defender of his, and I will defend some of the play calling in the first half. I agree it was completely predictable and uncreative. I think it kind of had to be with where Carson was. Second half, he was kind of in his bag, and Carson was not making good reads, and receivers were dropping balls. I mean, what can you do at that point? But again, like you said, he is the quarterback coach, and he has not made any effort to help Carson develop and improve. He's just adjusting the play calling to how bad he's playing. Mike, if you can't fix him, put somebody else in the game.
And while we're still on the subject of Carson Beck, this is what Carson had to say after the game. And we've all seen the picture of him smiling on the bench, down 12, late in the fourth quarter, which, to me, that should just be another nail in the coffin. But while we're talking about Carson, after the game, he said, "It's not about how I play, but how we play. Our identity is to run the ball. We just weren't able to do that tonight. Maybe whenever that happens, I have to step up. We have to make some explosive plays in the passing game. Or maybe I got to start making some plays on the ground. Somebody has to step up and make a play whenever we're not able to run the ball comfortably."
Somebody has to step up. Maybe it's me. Are you kidding me? Not only are you the quarterback, but you are one of the senior members of this offense. Take some responsibility.
Yeah. No, that right there, honestly, is it time? Is it time or is it too late for him to get a USF 2023 Jalen Milroe benching? Of like, okay, you can't take responsibility. You're not going to act like a leader on this team. You're not going to do what it takes to win. You're just going to put it on every single other position group on the offense. You know what? Sit down.
The gentle parenting that Kirby's doing with Carson obviously isn't working because, if Stetson played this bad, he's getting his ass chewed like from 50 yards away.
Kirby would get an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for what he did to his own quarterback if that was Stetson Bennett.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like slow dancing and just like, patting him on the back and all that, that's not working.
At the very least, we should see Carson Beck and Michael Van Buren's shoes from a few weeks ago. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. No words.
Yeah.
And as far as this game goes, I don't think the secondary could have played worse. Missed assignments everywhere. You had true freshmen and true sophomore linebackers picking up junior corners' responsibilities all over the field. You had CJ Allen doing his best Nakobe Dean impression, yelling at people because they weren't doing their fucking job.
Yeah.
Chris Cole, a guy that we've talked about
completely inexcusable.
multiple times this year. True freshman, playing above sophomores, juniors. Why is he covering Daniel Harris's guy multiple times? Does anyone have an explanation other than it's either a defensive scheme, which Glenn Schumann's
a terrible one.
Right. Glenn Schumann's been one of the best defensive minds in football for years. Going back to when he was a coach at Bama, the defensive gameplay meetings were three people: Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, Glenn Schumann. Right?
Yeah.
I trust Glenn Schumann. There's a reason the linebackers play so fucking well, right?
Oh, yeah.
As far as Dante Robinson goes, why does he have a job today?
I don't know. FSU fired both their coordinators today. Why can't we do that with a position coach?
Yeah.
Right. You have one of the best secondary coaches of the last 20 years as an analyst on your team and Will Muschamp wants to spend time with his family. I get it.
Fair enough.
I don't have an issue with that. He said the most time he ever got to spend with his son was when he was a walk-on quarterback at UGA. I understand wanting to spend more time with your family, but Will, we need you for the next 2 months.
We need the Will
signal. 2 months. and then you can go back to being an analyst. Hopefully, when the University of Georgia hires somebody with 2 brain cells rubbed together and figure out how to get fucking corners to do their job.
Right. And I swear if we hire somebody from LSU,
Mm. And if you are a Georgia fan that's upset with people bashing the team and the coaches after that game, kick rocks, pound sand, whatever other cliche you would like to hear, because the level of play we saw in Oxford, Mississippi is unacceptable for the preseason national title favorite, the preseason Heisman favorite at quarterback, and the preseason Joe Moore Award favorite as the offensive line. There is maybe 2% of what happened that is acceptable. And spoiler, that 2% is the front 7. Linebackers picking up assignments they shouldn't have needed to, but the secondary left them out to dry. And when that happened, Jackson Dart took off. Without Jackson Dart's rushing yards, Georgia gave up 84 yards on the ground. I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
But when your
Fine.
linebackers are having to cover wide receivers and tight ends that the corners just don't feel like it for that play, they can't tackle the quarterback when he gets out of the pocket.
Yep.
So I think the coaches need to take a long, hard look in the mirror after that game, because the personnel that was put on the field, when, I said this earlier to a friend of mine, when you're pulling Julian Humphreys instead of Dalen Everett, I understand Julian Humphreys gave up a number of big plays this year. I do. How many of those big plays have been because he was 15 yards away and not because the wide receiver is a freak of nature?
Right.
Because when a wide receiver has a 42-inch vertical and gets a one-hand grab,
Nothing
good
you can
play.
do.
Right.
Yeah.
But Julian's in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. Sometimes he gets beat.
It
Dalen
happens.
Everett is not in the right
Often.
place. Normally not on time. And normally not doing the right thing. But you pull Julian out and say, hey, Daniel Harris, I know you've given up more plays than these other 2 guys combined, but you're going to play for Julian. Right? That's on Dante, cornerback's coach.
Yeah.
The scheme, terrible. I don't know what you did. Never do it again. And it all comes down to Kirby and the coaches, because I've said this multiple times, especially this season. As a leader, you are responsible for everything your group does and fails to do. So this comes down to Kirby Smart, Mike Bobo, Glenn Schumann, T-Rob, Dante Robinson. And if we're being honest, Malachi Starks and Carson Beck should have been lighting fires under every single ass on that sideline.
Not laughing because your third string quarterback told you a joke.
Yeah. And that's specifically at Carson, because Malachi and the safeties did everything they could possibly do.
Yeah.
Wasn't enough. They did what they could do.
Yeah.
But if Kirby is not having some really tough conversations right now, and today, earlier, tomorrow, the rest of this week, and is not threatening or already taking guys' jobs, I don't know if he really cares about continuing to coach college football.
Yeah.
I think he may be tired of it and mailing it in.
That's what the thought I threw out there a little while ago, like earlier this year, is I think he might. I mean, I hope he's not done, but I mean, it feels different. I don't know. I can't quantify it, but I don't know. It feels off. Feels different.
Yeah, for sure.
I hope it was just some shitty hires on the coaching staff, and not that he's just like, fuck it, whatever.
I mean, he's made enough money. I mean, he's won his championships.
Yeah.
He's done everything that he set out to do here. Obviously, you want to, we want him to continue that. But like, if he retired today, he'd be the best coach in school history. So I mean,
yeah.
And he's still young. So I don't know. Hopefully,
yeah.
Hopefully, it's just like you said, it's a set of bad hires. But
yeah, and I'm hoping if that is his attitude, that it's just him knowing better than the media and the fans and anyone else what this team was actually capable of with the guys who were coaching it.
Yeah.
I do Well, I'll let you go ahead, Mike, since your notes are first. But
Okay, yeah, a lot of it's repetitive. We've kind of hit on already, so I'll try to go through it quick. But you talked about the offensive staff being gutted, or at least Bobo. I'm fine with that. I know you like Hartley. I don't know. He's a good recruiter, but outside of that, nobody's gotten better, or developed with this offensive staff that we have currently, or at least the last 2 years.
except Lawson Lucky, who was a Todd Hartley guy.
Yeah. But outside of Brock and Ladd, pass catchers haven't been elite, and you're seeing that this year after they left. You're talking about somewhere like Auburn can get a wide receiver like Cam Coleman, and when they have freaking Peyton Thorne at quarterback, and we can't get something like that. Like nothing. No receiver wants to come here. George Pickens was an anomaly, and he ended up not being able to do what he probably should have been able to do because quarterback play like that.
Georgia did get 2 4-star borderline 5-star wide receiver commits last week.
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully they stick to it and they can actually develop, but they're not committed to these coaches because they ain't gonna be here, I hope.
Yeah.
But kind of talked about it before, the skill guys they recruited transferred have not been nearly as developed as they were under Monken. Carson's worse today than he was last year. The running back room, although often injured, isn't what it was even a couple years ago. And that again comes back to the offensive coaches. And we're kind of spitballing some offensive coordinator names in our chat a little bit earlier. We'll go more in depth when hopefully that day comes that Bobo's fired. But y'all brought up Kirby Moore from Missouri, be an excellent hire. You can probably pay for him, no problem, I would think. Casey Woods from SMU, I think is probably I don't know how well known of a name that is to everybody out there listening, but he's done some really good things at less kind of also ran schools. And Buster Faulkner from Tech would be I think we talked about this last year, I think too. Would be a good pickup as well. Hurt Tech, help us.
And Buster Faulkner was on staff for 2 years under Munkin, and then took the Tech job.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes,
he's already.
It's not like he doesn't have a histery.
Yeah, Kirby knows what he is. So I mean, if
that's the kind of guy Kirby likes to hire.
For better or worse, right?
Yeah.
Wait, did any of those guys play for Kirby in the 90s or with Kirby?
I don't think so.
Damn it! Never mind. We gotta find Heinz Ward.
Is Eric Zier available?
Right. Oh man, but I mean, you talked about it too. Defensive back coach Dante Williams, the guy that we got from USC. We mentioned him already, so that's kind of where I'm at on that. But I know Kaleb, you have a lot more detailed stuff than I do.
Yeah, I don't know how much of this I'm actually going to read since we've talked about so much. I am feeling a little bit better today than I did yesterday. I feel like I've been through the 5 stages of grief and gotten to acceptance already. And what I've had to accept is what I think we should all acknowledge out loud, because I think some of us deep down, if we really asked ourselves, understood it the entire season, this team is just not good. They're not just waiting to find their stride. They're not just waiting till the end of the season to play their best. It's not another case where Georgia plays a few bad games through the season and then picks it up. But we thought we had seen some of those bad games already, and it turns out those were average. This was the bad one. They're not getting jinxed at the wrong time. I had 3 people today separately on different memes tell me that the meme that I posted was what caused Georgia to lose this game to Ole Miss so bad. Grow up, nerds. They're just not good. And I don't mean that they're Florida State. They're not Florida State. What I mean is that they're nowhere near the standard that has been set for this program. And we just, at this point, if Georgia wins out and makes the playoff, that is a huge success for this season. I sound like a Alabama fan from a couple of years ago saying, well, this was Nick Saban's best coaching job ever, even though they didn't even make a New Year's Six game, because just look at the team they were working with. It's actually kind of true in this case. Just based on what we've got. They're not good. Carson Beck isn't a top NFL prospect. I think we all know that now. He turned the ball over several times when we needed him to make a play the most. It's the worst set of corners the team ever had. I don't understand what's wrong with Ellis Robinson, that he never gets playing time.
Well, I think
be worse
that
than
goes into into Kirby appreciating continuity, but like I was saying earlier, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing repeatedly and expecting a different result.
Yeah, the
If you trot
continuity
out-
ain't working. It's you can't keep using it as a reason to keep doing what you're doing.
We need a high level of fuck it the rest of the season.
Yeah, we do. That's pretty much where I was going with this. Like, I didn't even talk about my thoughts on the offensive line here. Receivers can't catch a cold, even though it's raining in November. You know, I'm tired of watching people bend over backwards to defend Carson Beck. I guess maybe there's enough upside in Georgia to have beaten Texas. Maybe it was just another huge upset in a string of 2007 huge upsets this season. I don't know. If we beat Tennessee, big giant if, I don't think we do it right now, but if we beat Tennessee, there is still a chance that we make the playoff. That is as far as we get. So at this point, if you're Kirby Smart, you can either keep doing what you've been doing, keep the personnel in that you've been using, and lose to Tennessee. You will. Or you can put in Gunnar Stockton, put in Ellis Robinson, put in Nitro Tuggle, put in Jacoby White, put in Dwight Phillips, put in some of these young offensive linemen, and possibly still lose. But at worst, you're preparing for next season, and who knows, maybe something clicks. That's kind of my thought. It's because at this point, Carson Beck ain't winning a championship, and don't come at me with the whole, you said the same thing about Stetson Bennett. I didn't. I was a Stetson Bennett believer from day one. I knew he had that dog in him. I knew he had what it takes. Carson Beck just doesn't have it.
I wasn't a Stetson guy until like the fourth quarter of the national championship in 21. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
But I was that guy. I started my meme page because he was killing it against UAB. Literally, that's what made me do it.
Yeah.
I do want to say, I wanted to bring this up earlier and completely forgot because I had a lot of thoughts while
Didn't
at
we
the
all?
hockey
Yeah.
game. I agree with you 100% as far as bringing in other guys. And I know Anthony Evans was out, and he's been a spark plug for the offense this season. But at what point do you not bring in young wide receivers who are going to fight their ass off? Like,
Yeah.
I guarantee you, Jacoby White is jumping, dipping, diving, ducking, dodging the 5Ds dodgeball for every single pass that gets thrown his direction.
Yeah.
Same thing with Nitro Tuggle. Same thing with every other guy who travels to these games and doesn't see the field.
Yeah. Guys, Jacoby White has Lad McConkey upside.
Yeah,
And we should be
100%.
taking advantage of that right away.
And London Humphreys should be getting more playing time because he was the biggest spark on the offense.
Yeah, people keep yelling at him because he had one drop on Saturday. That's about 86 fewer drops than most of our other receivers.
And that wasn't even a drop. That the corner was a hit the ball with his helmet at the exact second London was tucking that. Like, watch an NFL game.
Yeah.
These guys get paid millions upon millions of dollars to catch footballs, and if somebody hits the ball with their helmet as they're tucking it, it comes out 10 times out of 10.
Yeah.
The guy, and the fact that Lawson Lucky had 3 targets on the day? Maybe 3.
Maybe.
Like, he's the only reliable guy on the damn offense right now, and we're giving him single-digit targets.
Yeah.
In a close game, in the rain, in a hostile atmosphere.
He's the closest thing to a Brock Bowers level reliable guy that we've got.
Right.
He's the closest thing to a Javon Wims level reliable guy.
Yeah.
Like, this offense is as reliable as a Ford Pinto. Not. If you're not a car guy, that just means it's not reliable.
Yeah. I'm not a car guy, but I have a Ford and it's not reliable, so I just copy and pasted it.
I love my Fords, but that's just me.
Wow.
I am also a Ford guy, but the Pinto was objectively an awful
Yes.
car.
Yes, that's the baseline for shitty cars. And
All
I
right.
just had the weirdest issues I've ever had with cars in my life with my Ford. Like, if something goes wrong, I know it's going to be weird and cost about $600, if not more.
That was me with every Chevy anyone in my family's ever owned.
Mm.
So, all right. we've just ranted and scorched the earth about Georgia. The positive side, I kind of mentioned it earlier. The front seven did everything they fucking could.
Yeah.
I mentioned a few times linebackers are picking up defensive back responsibilities. Multiple tipped passes, a tipped pass for an interception. At some point, you have to have other guys in the backfield that help you out, and they just didn't have that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else y'all want to hit on?
On that same note, I think you can give that front seven a lot of the credit for the fact that this game wasn't 48-10.
Yeah, they only gave up 22.
Yeah, they gave up almost exclusively field goals throughout the game because once Ole Miss got in the red zone, the front seven didn't have to cover the entirety of the back end of the field.
Right.
Yeah. No, we've mentioned this once before in a previous episode. Going into the season, the front seven was most national analysts' biggest concern about this Georgia team.
They've been the
Boy,
best.
has that turned around.
Yeah.
That's the only reliable part of the damn team right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Peyton Woodring and Brett Thorson also are
Yeah.
Fair.
very reliable.
Fair.
Mhm.
Yeah. Man, I don't know what else to say. I'm pissed off. You guys are pissed off. I
Yeah.
agree with Kaleb, and I have also gone through the 5 stages of grief, not just about this game, but about this team.
Mhm.
And I say that because all of my superstitions are dead. Like,
Yeah.
you guys, I've talked about my superstitions on this show for years. I don't care anymore. Like, I'm gonna wear whatever jersey I want to the game. I'm gonna wear whatever hat I want to. Like, the best Georgia played against Florida last week was when I was not wearing any of the stuff that I have worn for every game over the past few years. And it was
Mhm.
because we were going out to dinner. And I was like, oh, I'll watch the game on my phone. We're going out to a nice place. I'll throw a polo on. Like, that was the fourth quarter. That was the best they played.
Yeah.
So this team has managed to kill my superstitions and my hope for the rest of the 2024 season.
I do want to bring this up real quick. I'm not going to go through my whole last list there, but we mentioned it last. I think it was probably this time last week that Carson does have 1 year of eligibility left. Like, what are the chances that you think that he actually comes back next year?
Don't just
He's allowed to come back next year, because I can't imagine I don't know how the collectives work and all that. I'm not super intimate with that knowledge or anything like that. At least at Georgia.
they're not giving him an offer.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
they can't. Right? I don't know if it's a year-to-year thing. I know. I don't know, but there's no way he's making the same amount of money that he is this year. He's feeling the heat. And it's not tenable. Like, if he's going to transfer somewhere like Miami might be a good spot for him, because they're not going to have Cam Moore next year, and he can be with his little fucking influencer girlfriend and make TikToks and whatnot. So I'm sure he'd be happier doing that anyway.
Yeah, regardless of what he does with his future, I do not think he's back in Athens next year.
Mm-mm. I mean, he has his degree already and everything too. So I mean, not that that really matters. Not as a quarterback, it doesn't matter. But
if we come out against Marshall next season and he is coming out there on the offense for the first team, the crowd is going to lose their mind.
Could you imagine if Stetson didn't come back in 22 and we had fucking Carson back for 3 years?
Oh my gosh! Don't even.
Well, that would have been 2 years with Brock and Ladd, though. Like
that. Yeah, that's true.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah,
but and one of those years with AD Mitchell.
Yeah, that's
and
true.
Todd
Well, that would have been 21. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a billboard right down the street over here with Carson Beck's dumb face on it that says "Winners win."
Yep.
And clearly, Carson Beck doesn't fit that category.
No, I've wanted to say this all season, and I feel like now Georgia fans are as pissed off as I am and ready to hear this. Ever since he got those stupid ass Jacksonville tattoos, like his area code tattoo, and got on scumbag injury attorney billboards, he has played like he wants to be a scumbag injury attorney.
That's right. people keep blaming the Lamborghini and the influencer girlfriend. It's the tattoos and the injury lawyers.
I'm just saying, coincidence doesn't, or what is it? Oh, oh man, the word is slipping my mind. Coincidence doesn't equal causality.
Correlation.
causation, something like
Correlation.
that. Yeah.
I knew it was a C word. Correlation doesn't equal causality. There's a lot of correlations to be made between what happened this offseason and the Ball State level of quarterback play we're getting.
Yeah, I've never liked that saying, by the way, because like correlation does not inherently mean causation, but correlation is evidence of causation
It is.
when
But
combined with other factors, and in this case, Carson Beck sucking is a.
I don't think the 904 tattoo made him suck. I think he sucks and got a 904 tattoo.
Because yeah, exactly. It's evidence that he sucks, not the other way around.
I don't know how often they did like the updates like on College Football 25. Because honestly, I haven't been able to play it since like the season started. But
Same.
like Ashton Genty's a 92. I know they updated like some guys. Carson started at a 90. What if you had a guess?
I'm looking up the rating now. I can see what it currently is. Last time I saw that they updated it, it was before the Texas game. And I can't find anywhere where they have updated or either before or just after the Texas game.
I mean, how wrong were those ratings? I mean, Oscar Delp was a 90 as well.
Well, here's the thing. Don't tell me they're wrong because most of the simulations that I had seen in Dynasty modes had Georgia not making the playoff that year and then Gunnar Stockton winning the Heisman the next year.
Yeah, Carson was the worst 90 rated quarterback I've ever played with. I played with him a lot, and I sucked ass with him. I was good with other teams, just not with them.
Yeah. Most dynasties of Georgia I've seen, they put Gunnar Stockton in and you know, learn something from that, I guess. Georgia coaching staff.
Mm.
Yeah, like maybe let's. Hey Kirby, get the coaches on some College Football 25. Let's figure this shit out.
Yeah.
I mean, they're adding stuff to their playbooks. Like it's dynamic. So maybe hit the sticks for Tennessee this week.
College Football 25 is more dynamic than Georgia's offense.
It sure as hell is. One last thing just about quarterbacks. Then we can get at more like positive stuff. Do you think Georgia ends up trying to go hard in the portal this year, considering like since they haven't gone to anybody besides Carson Beck, that there doesn't seem like they're confident in Gunnar or Jalen?
It depends on who's available.
I was gonna say if one of those guys transfers, almost definitely. But as it stands for next year, let me look. I'm trying to pull up their recruiting class right now. Do they have any 2025 quarterbacks in this class?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Ryan
Montgomery, of course. So they'll have 4 scholarship quarterbacks, and that's typically
if
the measure. If everybody sticks around.
Yeah.
We'll see if that happens.
Yeah. I mean, someone like Miller Moss is out there because he got benched, but I mean, not that he's going to be your end all be all. Because they did try to get the kid that starting at USC now, like Malava, whatever the hell his name was. They played at UNLV. Now he's starting at USC.
Yeah.
So I don't know how
he committed to Georgia and then flipped to USC.
Yeah. Then we got Rashada after that, but I don't know. That was just something I had in the back of my mind how different this room is going to look next year. Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah. But if and one last thing I'll say. The other thing we said today, if Georgia beats Tennessee, Georgia opened as an 8.5 point favorite, which I think none of us.
That's high. That's real high. Yeah. Take Tennessee in the points.
Yeah. Hopefully Georgia wins that, but I can't see.
I've also seen 9, so I don't know if the line moved or different organizations had different lines, but
yeah. That's wild. But but if they beat Tennessee, they're in control of their own destiny. A lot of the playoff predictor things, they don't have Georgia in the 12-team playoff right now. But if you beat, a top 7 Tennessee team at night, you'll swap places with them more than likely, and then you control your own destiny. You just have to end up, beating Tech and you're in. So I mean, it's still possible. I'm still holding out hope. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I've already prepared myself mentally for them to fuck this up. So it is what it is. I'm not going to let myself get upset about it because I've already done that.
Yeah, again, 9-3 Cheez-It Bowl is what it is.
No, we better go to the fucking Pop-Tart Bowl. If it's gonna be a
Yeah,
bad
there
bowl
we go.
game, make it be entertaining. I want that mascot.
Fair enough.
I will say, last thing I'm going to say before we close out here.
Let's
November
get
23rd.
positive. Oh,
November 23rd. We're all Army fans.
yes.
They're playing Notre Dame. If Army continues to go undefeated and beats Army, that leaves a spot open for Georgia, because that would have been Notre
Their
Dame
second
losing
lowest
to two Group of 5 teams, one of them significantly better than the other, but still two Group of 5 losses.
Yeah. I will say though, if Army does beat Notre Dame, I think you get Army and Boise State if Boise State wins out.
I don't. Ooh, that's tough considering Army has like 110th strength of schedule.
That's true.
Like they need this Notre Dame win for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would go a long way.
Notre Dame beat Florida State by 49 points.
Yeah, that was probably that might have been my worst bet all season, and that's saying something. Florida State plus the points. Oh,
best fades.
Yeah,
not their worst loss in the last 11 months.
This is why you always tune into my best bet segment, so you know what not to do.
There you go.
Every single time.
Army hit.
Yeah, Army hit. There we go. Maybe all of my bets will be Army related next week.
Hey, Bryson Bailey got 2 touchdowns too.
Yeah. There we go. Get him in the portal.
Veterans Day Monday. Let's go. USA.
Yeah. To wrap up on a positive note before we finish up the podcast, the Georgia basketball team looks kind of good.
They do.
Like I watched their full game against Texas Southern today. Guys, they learned how to rebound.
Are they playing defense too? At least a little bit?
Yeah. Oh, we got, I think, plus 20 something in turnover margin in this game.
Dude, and Texas Southern shot 1 of 19 from 3 as well. So I was looking at that.
They were in their face.
Yeah.
I mean, Asa Newell's a revelation.
Mm.
This team is looking good. Now they're playing North Florida on Tuesday night, who has already beaten South Carolina and Georgia Tech at their places this year.
Ooh.
So they're looking pretty good. It'll be interesting. And then we get Tech on, I want to say, Friday. So busy week this week in basketball. Prove it couple of games coming up here for Georgia basketball, but it's looking good.
You know, we have mentioned it on the show already. Jacksonville beats Georgia. Ask Carson Beck. But that's going to do it for this episode of the Nothing Finer podcast. As always, follow us on social media at nothing.finer.pod on Instagram, at FinerPod on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. Just look us up. You will find us there. Share the show with your friends. Rate and review 5 stars. And, as always, guys, remember there's nothing finer in the land
than a drunk, obnoxious Georgia fan.
I want to die.
Recording stopped.